What if I told you that Elon Musk personally requested to meet you? Not the polished, I've got it all figured out version, not the confident, accomplished mask you wear for others, but the real you, the one who hides your dreams, the one who quietly doubts yourself, the one who sometimes wonders if life will ever hand you a chance to matter. Right now, he's sitting across from you, and instead of asking for your resume, your achievements, or your resume of successes, he asks one question: what are you doing with your life? You might feel exposed. You might squirm. Maybe your first thought is, why me? But here's the truth you've been avoiding. It doesn't matter who you are right now. It matters who you could become if you stop letting fear, comfort, and excuses write your story. Musk's life is a mirror reflecting what's possible when you confront the fear instead of fleeing it. And what he wants from you isn't your approval or admiration. He wants something far more difficult. He wants your courage. We live in a world designed to keep you small. Notifications buzz constantly, feeds refresh endlessly, every moment offering a distraction from the quiet, gnawing truth: you are not yet living the life you were meant to. You feel it. That subtle discontent, that restless ache that comes when the world quiets down at night. The whisper, there has to be more than this. Musk heard that whisper too. But instead of ignoring it, he leaned into it. He walked into the discomfort, stared into the impossible, and chose action over comfort. Think about your life for a moment. Are you really living, or are you simply existing? Getting through each day, ticking boxes, performing routines, and calling it life. True life is forged on the edge, where failure is almost guaranteed, where risk is unavoidable, and where the inner voice that whispers "try anyway" is louder than the voice of fear. Musk has stared down those moments countless times. He invested every last dollar he had into Tesla and SpaceX when both were on the brink of collapse. He didn't know if he would succeed. He only knew he couldn't ignore the calling, the mission, the possibility. And maybe that's the question he's asking you: what are you willing to risk? Because most people are too afraid to risk anything real. They settle for comfort. They cling to predictability. And that's how brilliance, purpose, and true impact slip quietly by, unnoticed. But let's be honest. Why do you hesitate? Why do you dream in the dark but shrink when it comes to action in the daylight? The answer is terrifyingly simple: you fear judgment more than regret. You've been trained to stay in line, to color inside the boundaries, to not make others uncomfortable by wanting more. And so you shrink. You play small. You convince yourself with stories like "I'm not ready," "I don't have enough money," "I don't have the right connections." Musk had no blueprint, no cheering crowds, no safety net. But he acted anyway. And the path only appears when you begin walking. If you died tomorrow, would you feel you truly lived, or would you feel like you never even started? Most people avoid asking themselves this question because it terrifies them. But for Musk, mortality was never a distant thought. It was a deadline demanding urgency. The clock was ticking, and every moment wasted was a moment lost in a life that could have mattered. He asks, figuratively, what problem are you willing to die solving? Because purpose isn't born from comfort, it's born from obsession, from that fire that keeps you awake at night, from challenges that feel impossible. It's why Musk built rockets, why he endured public ridicule, why he risked ruin. Are you chasing comfort, or are you chasing impact? Here's the hard truth: the very thing you fear most, failure, ridicule, rejection, is the gateway to the life you dream of. Without it, your potential will remain locked behind invisible walls. Musk was laughed at when Tesla's first electric cars failed, when SpaceX rockets exploded, when PayPal faced bankruptcy. But he stood back up. Not because he knew he would win, but because he refused to let fear write his story. And maybe that's the challenge before you. Will you let fear dictate your narrative, or will you take control? Comfort is a slow killer. Every easy choice, every avoidance, every excuse shrinks your world. The tragedy isn't that you might fail, The tragedy is that you might succeed at living a life that never truly mattered. Musk isn't superhuman. He's simply someone who refused comfort as his god. He chose struggle, ridicule, and impossible problems, and in that choice, he found purpose. So here's the ultimate question Musk, or rather life itself, is asking you: are you ready to step into the arena? To confront fear, to risk failure, to stop watching from the sidelines? The person who will emerge from the choice is not the one who gets lucky, the one with the most resources, or the one with the most connections. It's the person who dares to act when everything inside says stop. Because life isn't about having dreams, it's about becoming someone capable of holding those dreams when the storms come. Waiting for someday is a trap. Someday never arrives. Musk knew that. And if you truly want to meet him in that metaphorical moment, you must act now, not later. Pause for a moment and imagine Elon leans forward, eyes intense, voice steady, and asks, "Show me the life you've built with the time you were given. Are you proud, or do you hide?" That question lingers. It will haunt you. And it should. Because if you ignore it, life will not forgive you. If you accept it, you begin to awaken. You step off the safe path and into the wild, terrifying, beautiful unknown that is your potential. Before Elon Musk became the man who could imagine rockets, electric cars, and colonizing Mars, he was a boy who knew pain, loneliness, and the weight of being misunderstood. He was born in Pretoria, South Africa, in a house that looked normal on the outside but was filled with the silent pressures of expectation, intelligence, and ambition. From an early age, Elon was different, curious in ways that made other children uncomfortable, intense in ways that invited ridicule, and relentlessly hungry for understanding a world that often seemed incomprehensible. Imagine being a child who prefers reading encyclopedias to playing outside, who builds computers alone in a quiet room while other kids are chasing soccer balls. Imagine being picked on, called names, shoved into lockers, or told you were too strange to belong. That was Musk. And here's the uncomfortable truth: being different is painful, but it's also the seed of genius. Most people spend their lives trying to fit in, fearing the judgments of those around them, and in that fear, their unique spark is extinguished. But Musk learned to survive the cruelty of peers by retreating into his own mind, a mind so powerful that it would one day bend the world to his vision. He didn't have an easy life. Family tensions, social isolation, and the quiet weight of expectation created a pressure cooker of intellect and imagination. Most people would have crumbled under such circumstances. Most people would have grown small, cautious, and resigned to mediocrity. But Musk's mind refused to be confined. He read voraciously, coded relentlessly, and allowed himself to dream bigger than anyone dared to dream around him. Now, pause and look at yourself. How many times have you allowed fear, social pressure, or the opinions of others to shrink your own vision? Musk's early life is a mirror, showing us the uncomfortable truth: your circumstances do not determine your destiny, your choices do. He chose curiosity over conformity. He chose imagination over despair. And that choice, made quietly in the face of ridicule and loneliness, set the stage for the audacious life that was to follow. At 17, Musk left South Africa. Imagine the courage it took to step into a new country, a new culture, without connections, without a safety net, armed only with ambition and an almost naive sense of possibility. Many would have stayed, convinced by comfort, tradition, or fear that the world outside was too vast, too unpredictable. But Musk chose to leap, knowing that the edge of the unknown is where growth lives. This is a lesson you can take straight into your own life. The things that scare you most are often the things that will transform you. His journey took him to Canada, then to the United States, chasing education, opportunity, and a future that he refused to wait for. Along the way, he experienced loneliness, rejection, and the grinding realization that the world is indifferent to your dreams. But here's the twist: the world's indifference is not a threat, it's a liberation. If no one is stopping you, then the only barrier is yourself. The uncomfortable truth is that your excuses are often louder than reality. Musk discovered early that the universe doesn't owe you permission. You create your own permission. Even as a young adult, Musk faced challenges that would have stopped most people in their tracks. He worked tirelessly, often sleeping on floors, coding through exhaustion, and facing skepticism at every turn. And yet, the very hardships that would have crushed others became fuel for his imagination and ambition. Failure, discomfort, and struggle were not obstacles, they were the forge that strengthened his resolve. Here is a truth many never admit: the world will rarely notice your genius before it is too late to stop you. You will be laughed at, doubted, and even betrayed. Musk experienced this firsthand with his earliest ventures, like Zip2. Investors doubted him. Partners questioned him. Yet he persisted, because he understood that believing in yourself, even when no one else does, is the most radical act of all. Now, reflect on yourself again. How often have you silenced your own brilliance to avoid criticism? How often have you stayed small to protect your ego, your pride, or your comfort? Musk's story teaches that discomfort is the precursor to transformation. To step into your own potential, you must accept the possibility of ridicule, the reality of failure, and the inevitability of obstacles. This is not a threat, it is a roadmap. And then came PayPal, a turning point that mixed triumph with betrayal, success with bitter lessons. Musk poured himself into the venture, innovating, strategizing, and working at a pace that left most exhausted. Yet even when the company flourished, he faced internal disputes, disagreements, and near losses that would test anyone's resolve. Imagine achieving what others thought impossible, only to find that your greatest obstacles are not external, but the very people around you. Musk learned an uncomfortable truth here: vision is not enough. Perseverance, resilience, and the courage to continue even when others fail you are what separate the extraordinary from the ordinary. And here's the twist that few acknowledge: every failure, every betrayal, every lonely night of doubt, sharpened him for what was to come. Tesla and SpaceX were not just companies, they were personal crucibles, designed to test whether he could carry ideas so audacious that the world would call him insane. Every rocket that exploded, every car that almost bankrupted him, every sleepless night was a step on the path that would redefine technology, energy, and space exploration. Think about your own life. Where are your rockets exploding? Where are your Tesla-level risks, moments when you risk everything to pursue something that matters? Most people shrink from these moments, preferring comfort and predictability. Musk teaches that the moments of greatest fear, the moments where failure is real, are the very moments that determine the arc of your life. This is why he's metaphorically sitting with you now. Not to hand you answers, but to show you the mirror of possibility. He asks you to look into your own fears, your own unrealized potential, and ask yourself, am I brave enough to risk what I have to become who I am meant to be? Because here is the ultimate uncomfortable truth: if you never risk, if you never challenge, if you never step into the arena, your life will quietly fade into insignificance. Comfort is the enemy. Fear is the teacher. Failure is the guide. And the one who walks through it all is the one who changes the world. By the time Elon Musk founded Tesla and SpaceX, he had already faced ridicule, doubt, and personal sacrifice, but nothing would prepare him for the sheer magnitude of challenges ahead. Imagine pouring your entire fortune into ventures that could fail spectacularly at any moment, knowing that the world is watching, ready to mock your every misstep. Musk stood at the edge of collapse, over and over, and yet he refused to turn back. Tesla was bleeding money. Investors were skeptical, employees were exhausted, and critics called electric cars a doomed fantasy. Every production deadline became a battlefield, every investor meeting a crucible of doubt. And SpaceX? Rockets exploded on launch pads, billions of dollars went up in smoke, and the dream of reaching orbit seemed almost impossible. Most people would have quit. Most people would have turned to safety, to conventional paths, to comfort. But Musk's mindset was different. He understood a truth that few grasp: failure is not the opposite of success, it is the path to it. Every explosion, every setback, every burned-out night of anxiety and doubt was a lesson. The universe doesn't reward safety, it rewards those willing to endure, to persist, to risk it all for something bigger than themselves. And that is exactly what Musk did. Pause for a moment and reflect. What would you risk if you knew that failure was not the end, but the very thing that would shape you into someone extraordinary? Musk embraced this philosophy with ferocious intensity. When Tesla was weeks from bankruptcy, when SpaceX had failed 4 launches in a row, when the weight of expectation and the fear of ruin threatened to paralyze him, he made a decision: he would not let fear dictate his life. He poured his last remaining dollars into both companies. He slept on factory floors, worked 18-hour days, and carried the vision forward even when everyone around him questioned his sanity. This is the uncomfortable truth about courage: it is not a feeling, it is a decision. Musk didn't always feel brave, he felt fear, doubt, exhaustion, but he chose to act anyway. And in that choice, he transformed not only his own life but the trajectory of industries and technologies worldwide. Consider SpaceX's 4th rocket launch. 3 had failed, and billions of dollars hung in the balance. Every media outlet predicted disaster, every critic wrote him off. But Musk understood that the line between genius and failure is razor thin. That 4th launch became the first privately funded rocket to reach orbit, a monumental milestone that would redefine space exploration. The lesson here is not that Musk is fearless, it's that he refused to let fear dictate his actions. Tesla faced similar moments. Production bottlenecks, quality issues, and the skepticism of the automotive industry threatened to destroy the company before it could prove itself. Yet Musk pressed on, iterating relentlessly, innovating constantly, and refusing to compromise his vision. The result? A company that not only survived but reshaped the global conversation about electric vehicles, renewable energy, and the possibilities of sustainable transportation. Now, reflect on your own life. Where are you hesitating? Where are you holding back because the risk feels too great, the possibility of failure too terrifying? Musk's story demonstrates that the moment before breakthrough is often the moment of greatest doubt. Most people quit right before victory. Most people settle right before transformation. And that is the invisible barrier that separates mediocrity from greatness: persistence. Musk also understood the power of vision beyond personal gain. He wasn't building Tesla to make money, or SpaceX to achieve fame, he was building them to solve problems that mattered to humanity. He was thinking in decades, not days, in centuries, not quarters. This is a lesson that many overlook: true impact comes not from what is easy, but from what is meaningful, even when the path is painful, uncertain, and lonely. And loneliness was a constant companion. Musk endured public ridicule, employees leaving in frustration, personal relationships strained, and media scrutiny that could crush most people's spirits. Yet he persisted. Why? Because he understood a key principle: if your purpose is strong enough, if your vision is meaningful enough, the opinions of others become irrelevant. Your mission becomes your compass, and fear becomes a tool rather than a jailer. Here's the uncomfortable truth that Musk's journey illuminates: the world will doubt you, ridicule you, and sometimes betray you. And yet, those who persist in the face of that doubt, who lean into the pain rather than flee from it, are the ones who change history. Comfort is seductive, but it is fatal to ambition. Mediocrity is easy, but it is soul-crushing. And the person who dares to embrace struggle, to risk everything for purpose, will discover a life far richer, far deeper, far more extraordinary than the one most people settle for. Now imagine Musk sitting across from you again. He's not asking for your resume. He's asking something far more difficult. What are you willing to sacrifice to become the person capable of greatness? Because greatness is never free. It demands courage, persistence, and a willingness to endure what others will not. It requires risk, discomfort, and the relentless refusal to quit. Think about your life. Where are your rockets about to explode? Where is your Tesla moment, your chance to risk everything for a vision that matters? Musk's journey shows that the moments of greatest danger, the moments when collapse seems imminent, are also the moments that define us. They are the forge in which our character, our legacy, and our potential are tested and transformed. And here's the twist: most people run from these moments. Most people choose comfort, predictability, and safety over risk, impact, and growth. Musk teaches that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. And the person who acts, who leans into struggle, who persists when the world doubts, becomes the person capable of transforming not only their own life, but the world itself. By now, you've seen the trajectory of Musk's life: a lonely, curious child, a restless, ambitious young man, a risk-taker staring at bankruptcy, a visionary daring to bend reality itself. But what underpins all of this? What drives a person to repeatedly face failure, ridicule, and exhaustion and still push forward as if nothing could stop them? The answer lies in his philosophy, his psychology, and his unique relationship with risk, failure, and the fleeting nature of human life. Musk doesn't view risk as something to avoid, he sees it as a necessary companion on the path to meaningful work. Most people recoil from risk, but here's the uncomfortable truth: avoiding risk is a guarantee of mediocrity. The safest path rarely leads to greatness. Musk's willingness to stare into the abyss, to embrace uncertainty, is what allowed him to attempt the impossible: rockets that reach orbit, cars that redefine an entire industry, solar systems that could change humanity's energy future. Consider this: every rocket explosion, every near-bankruptcy moment, every public failure was a calculated risk. Not reckless, but informed. Not naive, but daring. He understood that failure is not just inevitable, it is essential. Each misstep teaches something that cannot be learned through comfort. Each setback, when analyzed, becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. And this is a lesson for you: your mistakes, your embarrassments, your moments of doubt, they are not punishments. They are tools. They are clues about how to navigate the next challenge, how to sharpen your thinking, how to expand your potential. Musk also has an almost paradoxical relationship with fear. He feels it, acutely, like anyone else. But he does not let it dictate his actions. Instead, he observes it, studies it, and transforms it into strategy. Fear becomes data. Fear becomes energy. Fear becomes motivation. Most people never reach this point. They let fear immobilize them, shrink them, convince them that comfort is safety. But Musk's life teaches that comfort is often a cage disguised as freedom. True freedom, true impact, comes from navigating fear with intention, purpose, and persistence. Now, let's explore mortality. Musk is acutely aware that life is short, fragile, and unpredictable. This awareness isn't morbid, it's catalytic. Every decision, every risk, every sleepless night is framed by an understanding that time is finite. Imagine if you carried the same awareness in your own life. If every day you asked yourself, am I living fully? Am I pursuing what truly matters? Musk's urgency is not impatience, it is clarity. It's a refusal to waste the precious hours of human existence on trivialities, on distractions, on fear. Here's the uncomfortable truth: most of us live as if life is infinite. We postpone, procrastinate, distract ourselves, and hope that time will keep giving us chances. Musk's life demonstrates that time is a relentless force. Every moment wasted is lost opportunity. Every hesitation is a chance missed. And yet, this awareness is not meant to paralyze, it is meant to motivate. It is meant to remind you that greatness cannot wait for permission, for comfort, or for the absence of fear. Now consider unconventional thinking, one of Musk's greatest tools. He doesn't accept conventional wisdom as truth. He questions assumptions relentlessly. He asks, why does this exist? Why can't it be different? What if we approach the problem from a completely new angle? This is a key insight for you. The world rewards originality, not compliance. The world rewards curiosity, not conformity. And often, the people who change history are those willing to challenge norms, upset expectations, and endure criticism in the pursuit of truth. Musk's thinking is also deeply iterative. He doesn't wait for perfection. He experiments, fails, learns, adjusts, and tries again. Most people wait for certainty, for complete knowledge, for the right moment, and by the time they act, the opportunity is gone. Musk teaches that action, even imperfect action, is far more powerful than delayed perfection. Risk, when paired with relentless iteration, becomes the engine of progress. Now, let's be brutally honest. Fear, doubt, and mortality will not vanish. They will always be present. Musk doesn't conquer them, he coexists with them, leverages them, and uses them to sharpen his focus. This is the uncomfortable truth. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is mastery over the way fear influences your choices. If you are waiting to feel fearless before you act, you will wait forever. Courage is learned by acting in spite of fear, again and again. And here's the deeper philosophical insight. Musk operates on a level of purpose that transcends the self. His ambitions are not merely for fame or fortune, they are for humanity. Colonizing Mars, developing sustainable energy, advancing AI safely, these are goals that force him to consider the long-term future of civilization. This is a lesson you can apply. When your goals are bigger than your ego, when your mission serves a purpose beyond personal gratification, fear diminishes, and resilience multiplies. Reflect on yourself. What would it mean to live with the same urgency, the same focus, the same relentless willingness to challenge assumptions, risk failure, and confront mortality? How would your life change if you viewed discomfort not as a signal to retreat, but as a compass pointing toward growth? Here's the final uncomfortable truth Musk offers. Time is your most precious resource, and the moment you begin to act with clarity, courage, and purpose, you transform it from fleeting minutes into lasting impact. The choice is stark: continue in comfort, or step into the fire of uncertainty where your true potential awaits. And as Musk sits across from you figuratively, of course, he asks, what are you willing to risk for the life you imagine? What excuses will you shed today? How will you embrace the discomfort that forges greatness? Because the world doesn't reward safety, it rewards audacity. It rewards persistence. It rewards vision that dares to endure. Elon Musk doesn't just think about today, he thinks in decades, in centuries, in the scale of civilization itself. SpaceX isn't merely a company, it's a lifeboat for humanity. Tesla isn't merely a car company, it's a blueprint for a sustainable future. Neuralink isn't just a neuroscience project, it's a bridge between human cognition and artificial intelligence. Every venture Musk pursues is a question, a challenge, a confrontation with the limits of possibility. And the lesson for you is profound: the scale of your vision shapes the scale of your life. Most people live small because the world seems too large, too intimidating, too impossible. But Musk demonstrates that the impossible is only impossible until someone dares to act. Mars colonization, a global network of sustainable energy, AI that enhances rather than destroys, these are not fantasies. They are experiments in courage, audacity, and persistence. And here is the uncomfortable truth: your own life contains Mars missions of its own, ambitions, dreams, and potentials you have been too afraid to pursue. Consider AI. Musk has warned about its potential dangers, speaking about a technology that could surpass human intelligence and change the world forever. Most people ignore the long-term implications, distracted by the comfort of daily routines and immediate pleasures. Musk doesn't. He grapples with the existential questions of our era while simultaneously building solutions to ensure a future that is survivable and meaningful. And here lies the lesson: greatness requires thinking beyond the immediate, considering the ripple effects of your actions, and daring to act even when the outcome is uncertain. Now, let's talk about legacy. Musk is acutely aware that life is finite and fragile. But he also knows that life's impact extends far beyond a single human existence. SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, these are not personal trophies. They are contributions to humanity's survival, to the expansion of knowledge, to the elevation of what is possible. Musk is building not for recognition, but for meaning. And here's the question for you: what are you building? Are you shaping a life that matters, or simply passing time? Musk's vision is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront mediocrity. It asks, are you truly living, or are you hiding? Are you pursuing comfort, or are you embracing challenge? Are you allowing fear to limit you, or are you using fear as fuel? Most people avoid these questions because the answers demand transformation. Musk doesn't. He leans into the discomfort, asking himself daily, what can I do today that matters for the long-term future? Here's the paradox: thinking at this scale is terrifying. It forces you to confront mortality, uncertainty, and the fragility of human systems. Yet, paradoxically, it is also liberating. The moment you see your life as a tool for something bigger than yourself, you transcend petty fears, superficial concerns, and the trivial distractions that dominate so many lives. Musk shows us that courage, purpose, and audacity are not traits reserved for the few, they are choices available to anyone willing to embrace discomfort and act with intention. Imagine sitting across from Musk once again. He asks, if humanity depended on you, what would you do differently? If the life you've been given were a launch pad, not a cage, how would you aim your trajectory? This is not a literal question, it's a mirror. Your Mars, your Tesla, your SpaceX, whatever dreams you have, whatever impact you wish to make, exist in the choices you are willing to take today. And here is the uncomfortable truth you must face: most people will never act. They will live in comfort, distracted by convenience and noise, never daring to confront the scope of their potential. But you, if you dare, can step into the arena. You can transform fear into strategy, doubt into learning, and struggle into mastery. You can take the long view, align your efforts with purpose, and build a life that is not only meaningful but monumental. Musk also understands the role of iteration in human progress. Perfection is an illusion, action is the currency of transformation. Rockets fail, cars misfire, AI experiments falter, yet through each failure, knowledge accumulates, insight grows, and the impossible becomes achievable. Apply this lesson to your own life. Stop waiting for certainty, stop fearing imperfection, and start acting. Every mistake, every risk, every uncomfortable decision propels you forward. The world rewards persistence, not hesitation. And now, the final uncomfortable truth of Musk's vision: life is not about comfort, it is about impact. Time is your most precious resource, mortality your constant companion, and purpose your compass. To live fully is to embrace discomfort, to risk failure, to challenge assumptions, and to act with urgency. Musk's life is a blueprint for how to do this. The question now is whether you will follow it, whether you will confront your own fears, or whether you will retreat into the safety of what is known. Imagine the final scene: Musk stands at the threshold of your life, a mirror of what is possible. He doesn't hand you answers. He doesn't give you a roadmap. He asks one final question: what will you do with the time you've been given? And that, perhaps, is the question that defines not only your life but the legacy you leave behind. Now, we arrive at the end of this journey, but in truth, this is just the beginning for you. All of Musk's struggles, triumphs, failures, and visions point to one undeniable truth: the life you imagine is only as real as the actions you are willing to take today. He doesn't ask for applause. He doesn't ask for admiration. He asks for courage. He asks for audacity. He asks for the willingness to risk discomfort, failure, and judgment to pursue what matters most. Think of all the moments you've hesitated, all the dreams you've postponed, all the whispers of someday that never arrived. Musk faced far greater uncertainty, far higher stakes, far harsher ridicule, and yet he pressed on. His life is a mirror reflecting what is possible when fear is treated not as a barrier, but as a guide. The uncomfortable truth is this: no one will hand you a rocket, a car company, or a mission to Mars. No one will rescue your potential. That responsibility rests entirely with you. And yet, there is hope. Because if Musk's life teaches us anything, it is that audacity is contagious, courage is teachable, and purpose is discoverable. You don't need to be a billionaire, a genius, or a household name to start. You need only to take the first step toward the life that demands your best, your risk, your relentless focus. The universe does not reward hesitation. It rewards those who move despite uncertainty, who embrace discomfort as the fuel of growth, who dare to imagine what others call impossible and then pursue it relentlessly. Consider the uncomfortable moments you fear most. The conversations you avoid, the risks you postpone, the ambitions you bury under convenience and comfort. These are not signs of limitation, they are signals pointing toward growth. Musk's life shows that these moments are not obstacles but gateways. To step through them is to awaken to what you were always capable of being. And here's the final twist: the life you imagine is not waiting somewhere out there. It is forged in this very moment, in the choices you make, in the risks you embrace, in the courage you summon, in the persistence you cultivate. The rockets of your potential are ready to launch, but they require fuel to your action, your conviction, your willingness to embrace the discomfort that shapes greatness. Imagine Musk one last time, leaning forward, eyes sharp, presence intense, asking not for an answer, but for a reflection. Have you begun to live fully? Have you confronted your fears, challenged your limits, and dared to build a life worthy of your potential? The question will echo in your mind long after this moment passes. It is uncomfortable because it is personal, unavoidable, and irreversible. And so, the question remains for you, as it has for everyone who dares to consider greatness: will you shrink from the challenge, retreat into comfort, and leave your potential unrealized? Or will you rise, embrace risk, confront fear, and step boldly into the life that is waiting for you, the one that could transform not only yourself, but the world around you? Because here is the ultimate, lingering truth: Elon Musk did not request to meet you. Life itself requested it. Life has been waiting for you to recognize your potential, to confront your fears, to risk failure, and to begin. The world will not pause. Time will not wait. But you can decide, right now, to ignite your own rocket, to launch your ambitions, to embrace the journey that demands everything from you and gives back more than you ever imagined. The legacy you leave is not measured in wealth, accolades, or recognition. It is measured in courage, in impact, in the lives you touch, and in the truth that you dared to step into the arena when the world was too comfortable, too safe, and too small to contain your dreams. So ask yourself, if Elon Musk personally requested to meet you today, would you be ready? Would you show up fully, unafraid, willing to risk, willing to fail, willing to grow? Or would you shrink, deflect, and pretend that someday is enough? The rockets of your life are ready. The mission is yours. And the countdown has already begun.